First of all, I would like to thank someone out there for sending me some essential oils, which I have been using. I am living a very clean lifestyle at the moment. I took a couple years off of conspiracy content. I'm about to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart. This is not slander. This is constructive feedback. Okay, and so I'm going to be talking with you about a person who I've never met, who I've never had a real decent conversation with, but someone that I worked for a number of years who let me post whatever I wanted on his website. Until, of course, I criticized him and his worship of Donald Trump. And I did it because I could no longer live with myself taking his money. Knowing what I know about the Russian influence over the conspiracy theory movement. And so I wish him well in Maui, Colorado. Maui, Hawaii. I lived in Colorado. He lives in Maui. And I always thought it would be great if I had actually had a deep conversation with this individual other than an interview, which he later deleted. Even though Christopher Greene of AMTV reads from the Bible, he doesn't really stand up for the victims of war. He pushed a great deal of pro-Russian propaganda for years, and a lot of those videos are now gone off the internet. There is anti-white racism, which I do talk about on my platform, but people like Christopher Greene, who started their platform in 2009, who just played into the Obama, it's Obama's fault, even though Obama's a part of the New World Order, he just played into that psychosis. That is just Obama. Even worse, Obama the Muslim. Barack Hussein Obama. And then when Trump came on the scene, anybody that wasn't on board the Trump agenda was basically a piece of shit in his eyes. And so my constructive feedback is that Christopher Greene has been brainwashing people for years, and he has had the gall, he has had the nerve to display himself photographed with Eric Schmidt of the Google Corporation. And here's what I have to say to you about this. The Google Corporation is absolutely satanic. Google/YouTube. In many ways, they allow pro-China propaganda to proliferate on the YouTube feed. For example, you should know that China puts its Muslims in camps. But if you look this up, according to a recent Vice News report, YouTube will promote Chinese influencers. You know, when you look at the individuals that have gone on RT over the years, from Luke Kardowski to even G4T, to Adam Kokesh, to Christopher Greene, they have only been allowed to go on those platforms and go on shows like InfoWars. With Chris Greene, it was Leanne McAdoo. And putting down his audience for not getting behind the cryptocurrency psychosis has been just plain wrong and mean. When we do face the potential of an EMP and a cyber attack, to tell people that these things are secure on the blockchain, when in fact that's bullshit, is basically leading your flock over a hill. And the bad thing about it is you're doing it in the name of Jesus Christ. I was homeless in 2014, and I'm grateful to Christopher Greene paying me $500 a month and allowing me to post whatever I wanted. But I did post things at times that were neutral and sometimes critical of Donald Trump. And honestly, I don't blame him for letting me go on the day in which I released Fourth Horse Rising, in which I showed clips of my interview with Chris Greene. But let me tell you why I did that. All those years or months leading up to the election, I kept hearing this: Hillary's going to win. Hillary's going to win. They're going to rig it in the direction of Hillary. And from an intuitive perspective, I'm like, no, there's a selection The only people that make it to the presidency are those that are selected. And now that he brought you Operation Warp Speed, now that he brought you $5 trillion in debt, now that Donald Trump, before Biden came into office, he released 5,000 Taliban members out of prison. He's talking about 15-minute cities. He's talking about put the homeless in camps. When I, Alex Ansary, stood up for white-off gritters in Coast County. And if you don't know about my history, check out my 4-hour report at alexansary.substack.com if you've got the attention span for it. And listen, brothers and sisters, if you've got time for Chris Greene, if you've got time for Coast to Coast, if you've got time for Clyde Lewis, if you've got time for Band.video, David Icke, and Alex Jones, you've got time. You've got time to look into the content of Alex Ansary. You've got time to watch my interview with Leon Nagant. And so when I warned people in 2007 about Russia and China attacking America, Chris Greene didn't care, Alex Jones didn't care, Clyde Lewis didn't care, David Icke didn't care. When I talk about the connection between world wars and unrest and the solar flares, you know, the solar flares, nobody gave a shit. And I'm here to tell you, the people that make it to the top in the alternative media are sensationalists. They're fake news purveyors. Meanwhile, people like myself, we starve. We end up homeless. We end up slandered. We end up, in some cases, having to move off our off-grid property. And so, yes, I thank Chris Greene in spirit for hiring me for the years that he hired me, but I think it's time for me to break my silence on this and why I don't watch Chris Greene, even though, right, and I'm not gay or anything. Chris Greene has decent looks. Chris Greene has intelligence. Chris Greene has the gift of gab. Chris Greene has a beautiful, beautiful backdrop. And Chris Greene is smart. He doesn't show his family, except he shows his dad. I don't show my dad. And my dad's worked for the U.S. military, folks. Even though I have faced racism for being of the bloodline, being bombed back to the Stone Age, and I faced racism in the alternative media over it, my dad, who's a translator, has lived a lush, lush life. So I'll tell you, you heard about driving while black? Have you heard about truth and while being half Afghani or a quarter half Afghani? It's not a pretty picture. And people will use you just like someone's used in a prison cell and fucked up the ass, or a prostitute is fucked and then dumped out the side of the street when they're done. Here's 20 bucks, bitch. Keep walking. Unless you're going to get a bitch slap. You see, the way that people have used me and abused me has hurt my feelings. Because the truth is, I've been involved a lot longer in the alternative media than Christopher Greene. And my daddy didn't help me out with a nice red studio in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now for Chad Booksum. I've been meaning to talk about this guy. This guy's doing the same thing as Christopher Greene, talking about how anybody critical of Russia is deep state, when in fact it is documented that Russia and China have manipulated Facebook, have manipulated Twitter. And then we see Elon Musk literally going to China. He's called Brother Ma as he eats a 16-course dinner. I gotta ask you a question, folks. Are you fucking stupid, or are you stupid to not be able to connect the dots that these people that you think are your friends in the far right or the moderate right or the alt-right have been promoting China and Russia for many, many years? Chris Greene said a few things in the past. I'm going to bring it up. He's a smart man, but not too smart for deleting his past videos. And those of you that are critical of Chris Greene that didn't save his videos, not too bright, folks. McFly, if you know that there's something wrong with the dude, why would you not keep those videos over the years and not expose the worst of the worst? Chris Greene told you in 2018, 2019, that Iranian proxies were in the U.S. waiting to attack. Okay, but you're not going to find video evidence of that because it's gone. Chris Greene made many false predictions about Bitcoin, and that whole conversation is a long one. And as I said, he has talked down to his audience, not only those that didn't get behind the Donald Trump thing, but those that didn't get behind his Bitcoin school. And he has been wrong in many of his predictions. And I have certain speculations about Chris Greene that I'm not going to air publicly. But I have really wondered for years if he really got to where he is today alone. Do you really just start a YouTube channel after you get fired from Merrill Lynch in 2009? And where was Chris Greene when George Bush was the president? Why does Barack Hussein Obama be the one to wake so many of you up? Where were you when George Bush was dropping bombs on innocent men, women, and children? Smoking cigars and drinking lattes? Or slamming Jaeger or IPA at the bar? Go America! I mean, seriously, And people want to act like they're awake to the 9/11 agenda and then wait till it's Barack Obama. I was involved, folks, in 2004. How many of you were blamed for 9/11 because of your ethnicity? If you haven't watched my video called 66 Questions, where I asked my audience 66 questions, go watch that video after this one and get to know me better. Subscribe to my channel and read my autobiography before I am wiped off the face of the earth, because you guys want to talk about great replacement theory. You guys want to talk about white genocide. The real genocide, folks, is of the Islamic world. And they keep dumping some of these fools from the third world into America and into Europe to cause you to fight back. To maybe one day, after they create more false flags, get some of you all up in arms about putting them in camps. And I'm going to be the man who's the only man of my ancestry in the truth movement, right? That takes balls, that takes bravery. It's a sea of white faces with a few black tokens. Just a few, just a few, tiny few. And January 6th. But you want to talk about people of Middle Eastern heritage, of Central Asian heritage, right? There's just me. And there is no other. I am the undisputed Afghan truther of planet Earth. And you want to act like that's a bad thing? You want to act like it's only meant to be an Anglo-Saxon anti-New World Order movement? I call bullshit on that. This is the truth, folks. The YouTube algorithm, not only is it manipulated by China, it promotes 3 ethnicities: white, black, and East Indian. Okay? Don't think that all these non-white groups from the Middle East to East India are on the same side. When it comes to white people, they often have each other's back, even though you have a white-left civil war. It looks like a family feud, to be frank. And then when you deal with black people that feel disenfranchised, when they're sometimes killed by police, and George Floyd is outside of this world, or how about a Rodney King from the LAPD? Yeah, take that, black man, take that. Right? People are up in arms and rioting. But when it comes to Afghanis and Iraqis, and don't forget the people in Yemen, in which Trump armed the Saudis, as Trump puts his hand on the globe, as the Saudis commit genocide. Oh, they're Islamic, they get a pass. Those fuckers are straight up satanic demons. What the hell is Trump doing with the Saudis? What the hell is Trump doing in China, doing business in China? And people want to act like it's just Joe Biden. It's just Hunter Biden. If you really care about America and what's going to be happening to America's daughters if and when we are invaded one day, you cannot just point the finger at Barack Obama. You cannot just point the finger at Joe Biden. You must tell the truth. I command in Jesus' name. Because you want to talk about Christian persecution? It has not just happened to white people. There are people out there that act like, we would care about the Afghani Christians going to be killed by the Taliban. Mofo, you don't care about Afghani Christians in the American Truth Movement. Don't act like you care about Christians of all ethnicities, because you don't. So there's plenty of people out there that don't overtly show the swastika, but they act like white supremacy doesn't exist in the conspiracy theory movement, and it does exist. And Russia has played a role in pushing neo-Nazi talking points, pro-Adolf Hitler talking points. So even if Russia fought the Nazis and raped the Nazi women, the German women, many of which may have been innocent and didn't deserve to be raped by the Soviets, the Russians and the Chinese have still been pushing both black supremacy and white supremacy in America to destroy our country. So back to Chris Greene. Chris Greene should be smart enough to know about this stuff. I always prayed for Chris Greene throughout all these years and hoped that he would see the light and that he would speak more about these countries that have been demolished, because Chris Greene in the past did speak about, for example, the Orlando shooter. And he talked about this Orlando shooter who may have been of Afghani heritage. He said, folks, the reason it happened is he's trying to tell the people, look at what you've done to his father's country. Bro, you don't have to be a violent homicidal maniac blowing up an LGBT nightclub to be upset about those things. How about giving somebody else some airtime? So when I talked to Chris Greene, and I talked to him about what the Russians did in Afghanistan, in which they killed an estimated 3 million people, and there's many American conspiracy theorists that are totally out of their minds, in denial about this, he took down that interview. I predicted Trump, I stood up for the Afghanis, and I exposed the Russians' involvement in Afghanistan, in my father's home country, in which his father was involved in higher education. Folks, when my father came here, we're not talking about some dude with a beard. We're talking about someone, okay, my father abused me. I talk about that in other videos. He's a bad, bad man, right? But he was educated. He did not have a beard, for those of you with a bias against beard, but Alex Jones gets a pass. Odinite worshipers get a pass. But you place prejudice against people across the world who have a beard, yet you guys have your own beards. It's totally hypocritical, right? So check yourself. Check that ass. The truth is my father benefited in the pre-9/11 world, in the world of higher education, and his father was involved in higher education, the Afghani government, the police, and military. They were not stupid, uneducated, barbarian, radical, extremist jerk-offs. And in many cases, they have been fighting those fools for years. They were part of the actual governmental structure. But if you know anything about Afghan history, if you even cared about true 9/11 truth, because you don't know a damn thing about 9/11 truth unless you care about what happened to Afghanistan before 9/11, what led to the Taliban coming into power. If you just think Afghanistan was ruled by apes and barbarians and men with beards that put the burqa on the woman, right? You're a jerk off and an asshole for not even giving a damn about Afghani history in the 1950s when the women were free. So when I sit there and I try to talk to Chris Greene about this and the alternative media about this, you guys want to act like you're truthers. You guys want to act like you're against the wars. If you don't care about innocent Afghanis that are not terrorists, if you don't care about Afghani history and knowing about the Russian intrusion into that country, which is the point that I'm getting at, they were involved in the Afghani government in the 1970s, paying off Afghani officials. And there was a war brewing between some of the Islamic folks and others and the people in the Afghani government. And so there was increased fighting. My dad's cousin, Timmy Ansary, hates conspiracy theorists, so he won't talk to me, but he is a highly intelligent historian. And so you can learn from him as well. Just ignore the fact that he doesn't know about the New World Order and learn about the history of Afghanistan from him. Russia invaded to maintain control over that region when they were starting to lose power, when the people, their agents in the Afghani government, were becoming weaker and the resistance fighters were gaining the upper hand. So Russia invaded 2 months before I was born. And I don't think that it's an accident that I'm the only truther of that bloodline on a planet of 8 billion. Sure, you can find people like me writing in Farsi and going, gosh darn what US imperialism has done to our country, but you can't find them interviewing Alex Jones. You can't find them interviewing David Icke. And so even though, right, I am a mix of genetics, Austrian, Welsh, English, Germanic on one side, East Indian and Afghani on the other, I'm sick and tired of being treated like I'm subhuman when I have talked about many things on this planet that Alex Jones, Chris Greene, David Icke, and others have never talked about. And even though I'm not a fan of some of the leftists out there like Amy Goodman has done more to shine the light on the rape and the brutality directed at innocent human beings, detainees in Iraq and Afghanistan, than Alex Jones, Chris Greene, and David Icke ever will in their whole lives. And so for those of you that are stuck in tribalism, you know what tribalism, right? Where you keep watching the same people over and over and over again, even though they keep lying to you, taking down their videos. Oh, I have a vision of a little girl on a big mothership. Jesus, talk to me. God's talking to me. Is it God or is it demons? And is it God protecting you over there in the island? Or is it demons? Because that's what I want to know, because this is what I know, folks. In this world of propaganda, in this world of evil, in Satan's kingdom, Satan rewards those that engage in propaganda, that engage in deceit. And it's godly men that are put on the cross. It's godly men that are persecuted. It's godly men in many cases that are shot in the head. And so Chris Greene has a massive platform. If he really cared about life, if he really cared about serving Jesus Christ, and there's nothing in the Bible that promotes white supremacy, and there's nothing in the Bible that says that it's godly to keep your mouth shut about the white supremacy of others. Okay, so those that use the Bible to just get your money, to just get you to buy their courses, to just get you to buy into whatever they're saying, to keep clicking on their videos, they're not really serving God. They might think that they're serving God, but they're surrounding themselves with yes men. And because people are stuck in tribalism, even Black Americans, there aren't enough people that call out their BS. And because I am a man of God who has been brought to Jesus Christ through my own will, who has given up cannabis, who has given up fornication, who has given up silencing himself and now allowing my light to shine, I'm here to tell you that, yeah, while I'm grateful that I did work for him for a few years, right? It's no surprise why he kicked me to the curb when I put out Fourth Horse Rising. And I'd always hoped that me and Chris Greene would expose the coming attacks on America from China and Russia. And I remember sending him the video, warning of 2025, and years later, he would be posting videos citing 2025. I've been aware of Chris Greene for many, many, many years since he started. And without going into all the different things that are not quite right with this individual, let me just say this. You can have big palaces. You can have lots of money. You can have big, big biceps. You can have strong, strong health. But you're lying to yourself if you think that all those riches, all that material success is truly from God. Because the devil of this world will reward some more to keep people in line, in servitude to the dark one. And many people are naive to this, that when they cross over and they truly face God, all the propaganda that they engaged in will be brought up. All the hate speech or all the evil that they allowed to go on when they knew it was going on, but they didn't say anything about it, it will all be brought up before them. Whether you're a Christian or a Muslim, and there's many, many bad Muslims that I speak against. And if you want to hear me speak about those things, again, go to my Substack and hear me call out the bad Arabs of this world. And by the way, you can get on YouTube and you can be a Muslim, but you can't be Afghan and Iraqi and get any tread. You got to be one that's another Arab or a Saudi or someone from Jordan or Turkey or Iran. Or look at Patrick David, right? Supposedly there's all this hate of Iranians and Middle Eastern people, but you can be a right-winger by the name of Patrick David with the Valuetainment channel, interview gangsters and thugs and leg breakers and Alex Jones, and you get a pass. You can be a De Souza, a man of East Indian heritage, and call out Hillary Clinton, and you get a pass. You can be that other guy, Shawarma, whatever his name is, of East Indian heritage, who's running for the presidency as if he'll even win, right? And he gets a pass. You understand what I'm saying here? You understand what I'm saying, boy? But you can't be Afghani, Iraqi, even if it's just 1/4 of your blood, and be in the truth movement and have anything more than 30 views or 100 views per video. So I'm not going to let the devil of this world intimidate me into silence. I'm going to invoke the power of Jesus Christ as I call out the wickedness of this world. So going back to Chad Buxom, this man, this light-skinned man of Lebanese heritage should know why, in reality, he does not have success on YouTube. He just won't admit it because he's brainwashed. He's brainwashed by Chris Greene. He's brainwashed by Russia. He's brainwashed by Donald fucking Trump. And so I could try to go over there and comment on his channel. And it's like, dude, the reason why you're not really successful, even though you could be successful, is your ethnicity, brother. People of our kind, even though he's a light-skinned Lebanese, whose kind wasn't blamed for 9/11, he still fits into the box of Arabic. And unless you're going to be pushing Islam and getting in that box and that algorithm, you're not really going to do very well in the truth movement, even if you are going to be pro-Russia. And so it's really sad. I've come across a lot of these arrogant, wealthy Lebanese in Portland, Oregon. A lot of wealthy, arrogant Arabs. I've been poisoned and harmed by a Pakistani Muslim doctor. I've been harmed by a East Indian doctor. I've been considered mentally ill for being concerned for my own safety when they're drone striking people like me. Not you, but me out of existence in foreign lands. Yet I'm not supposed to feel anything from this. I'm not supposed to have any emotion. Hogwash. Pray for Christopher Greene. Pray that Christopher Greene of AMTV sees the error of his ways and comes to the true Jesus and begins to speak out for the victims of war and against this political worship, because 2024 is coming. And as I said in my other videos, you're now seeing the rise in anti-Themism, which is hate of people from certain lands, not to be confused with Islamophobia. There's plenty of people that aren't Muslims that are from some of those regions that may be Christians or moderate Muslims or Sikhs or Sufis, not the radical Islam that you've been told to fear. And while Chris Greene didn't necessarily get on board the Syrian immigrants or ISIS hysteria, he did say that Iranian proxies were in America ready to start blowing things up. He did get involved with RT, and he did for years betray Putin to be against the New World Order. And now the truth is coming out, as I said, for years. Putin and China are going to be bringing us the New World Order. What does Chris Greene have to say about that? I'm Alex Ansary. Subscribe to my channel. Check out my Substack. My email is soarstorm333@proton.me. May the true light of Christ reach into the hearts of each and every one of you and show you the truth as to what is really going on with this global New World Order, which is way beyond the Anglo-Saxon, US-led New World Order. And in the coming years, you're going to see that come to manifestation. Oh yeah, giddy up.